Hey, I'm Jade Keogh.
And hello from me too, I'm Grace Seeley.
We both play for the Millwall Lionesses and are sponsored by the No One Likes Us talking team.
Why not sponsor one of our teammates just like they do?
To find out how, just email kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
In your email, say who you want to sponsor and we'll get back to you with the sponsorship details and what to do next.
This is all you have to do and it will help us to get back to where we belong. Thank you, guys.
Now, enjoy our Millwall fan show from No One Likes Us talking team.
Come on, Mir.
Hi, Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
No longer in our hands, but only on goal difference. We sit 7th. Can 2 wins get us into the playoffs? I'm your host, Gary Snaff, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Myles Thornton, Debbie Juliens and Stan Godwin.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Evening, Myles.
Evening, Gary. Evening, everyone. You right?
Yeah, all good. Evening, Debbie.
Evening, all.
And evening, Stan. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing okay. And yourself?
Yes, I'm very well.
And good.
Good. First off, I was going to say this after, but welcome back, Eamon. I know you're not on the show tonight, but I know you've been in poor health recently, but it's lovely to hear you're back on your feet again and sending through things for the show at the very last minute as normal. But I love you for it, and it's good to see you on the mend, mate. So lovely to hear.
Yeah, well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Myles, so I'm giving you the amazing task of talking about Wigan. Go on then.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it because I've got a lot to say. It was absolutely awful. We lacked in every aspect, whether it was passion, desire. We were shattered, basically. If we did go up to the Premier League and played like that, we'd be battered about 18-0. It was not good enough at all. I know we scored once, but that was the only good bit of play we had in that game, I think. I wasn't happy at all.
Fair enough. And Debbie, can we still make the playoffs?
Yeah, we can. We've got to dig deep. It's going back to agreeing with Myles there. And Gary said we've got to embrace the pressure of the championship if we're to secure a top 6. He said 4 key players were out, impacted on performance in the last 7 games based on the performances. It had an impact. And he also said they didn't turn up for the game. They're absolutely exhausted. And what a disappointment, a complete disappointment. They got so far. As Myles quite rightly said, be careful what you wish for, because if we go up, we'll soon be looking at somewhere else. So it really they need to dig deep. We need to get it. If we win it at Blackpool, it may still happen. It's in our hands, and they've got to treat it as the final. That's it. So let's get behind them and support them. So, and they've got to look as well at recruitment.
Oh, agreed, because we have got a very thin squad. If you look, and I'm sure you all have, we've probably only played 16 or 17 players over that small period. Whereas if you look to play with the likes of Blackburn, well, let's not look at Blackburn, because Blackburn actually haven't won in 8 now, I think, the same like that. And everyone's saying, oh, they're Blackburn. But we're not the only ones that's performing like that at the moment. So, but look at the likes of Luton and Middlesbrough. They've probably been playing off of 22, 23 players. So it certainly does help. Stan, do you think the poor run of form that's seen us drop out of the playoffs? Do you think it's down to tiredness, lack of players? What do you think's happened, mate?
Well, I think it's a multitude of reasons, right? but first and foremost, I mean, I have to say this, right? I mean, I wasn't at the game on the other day, thankfully, and what concerns me is, and I read what the assistant manager had to say afterwards the next day in the newspaper, and it don't make good reading. And now it has to be said, I'm afraid, that if we're playing a team like Wigan, right, regardless of whatever the excuses are, right, if we if you know, if we can't turn a team over like that when we're in the chance for promotion and they're fighting against relegation, then there's something seriously wrong at our end. Okay. Now I'm not saying it's the manager's fault, but what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, the players have to take responsibility. You know, it's as simple as that. And if and you know, I mean, I read it, and what the assistant manager was saying was fair enough. Now, does that give me confidence that we're going to do it tomorrow night? No, it certainly don't. Right? I mean, I have to say to you, although it's in our own hands, I would like to think that we're going to do it. But I have to say, I do not believe that we're going to do it. I believe that we're going to fall again at the final hurdles. Right? If I'm proved wrong, fine.
But here's a thought, Stan. Do you think the fact that it's been in our own hands for so long has been, we just limp over this one, we draw 1-1 at Wigan, we do that? Do you think we just got too complacent and now we've dropped out? That could give us the kick we need.
But you see, if we think that, then it's all wrong, right? I mean, let me just say this. Look at, for example, I was talking to George about this today. Sheffield United, right? I hear all these excuses about this, that, and the other. The Sheffield United manager, his job is to produce a winning team and win football matches, right? He's done that and got promoted. Oh, and by the way, he's also got to the semi-final of the FA Cup at the same time. None of this swapping players out and priorities and all the rest of it. And they've got a license to learn out of that. And he achieved promotion last night. Now, the question is, if they can do it, why can't everybody else do it? Because it is the mentality, right? Now, and I don't accept this nonsense about because it's the FA Cup, it's a distraction and all that rubbish, because that's only ever come about since the coming of the Premier League. You never heard that before, ever. But now, so my thing is, the mentality has to be right. If they're thinking what you said, Gary, then there's something wrong. There is something, because they shouldn't be of that mindset.
No, I know, agreed. 100% agreed.
You know, look at Luton. Look at Luton. 7 years ago, they was in the non-league. They are on the verge of getting into the Premier League. I mean, all right, they've got to get the breaks, but they're on the verge of it. Coventry ain't too far behind it. Nothing to do with big wages, nothing to do with players on big budgets and all that cobblers. That's another load of rubbish. Look where they are.
Yeah, they're on lower budgets than us, some of them.
Yeah. Myles, Debbie, do you agree with what Stan's saying there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we also we lost 2 strikers and we didn't replace them. And then so we've been putting a lot of pressure on the individuals that are out there. So that's why I said we've got to look at recruitment. But yeah, and as I said, I said dig deep. It means get yourselves out there and go, and everyone play as a team.
Here's the thing, though, Debbie. You say about recruitment, and everyone has been saying exactly the same on the internet, and I agree, we do.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I haven't looked. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's look at the bigger picture. I know Phil Coleman always says this. Yeah, it's wonderful. We would expect every player to want to come to our club. Everyone we go after, every time we make an offer, they should come to our club. But unfortunately, sometimes it ain't like that. And I think I've got to understand that, because I'm one of the ones thinking, oh, why is he not signed? Sorry, I was saying about the transfers. But sometimes there's so many things that come into play. The player doesn't want to move clubs. The player doesn't want to move country. The player doesn't want to move down the country. The player might not get enough wages. The wife might not want to move because her kids are at school. All these things have to be taken into account. We're not just playing FIFA a lot of the time. and the players just turn up. But we just have to get to grips with that, and it's unfortunately harsh on us because we would like to sign all these great players. The Scottish bloke Nisbet, I'd love for him to sign, but obviously that went sugar up for some reason. But we'll have to see.
Well, can I just say this, Gary? Because it's an important point that you make, right? For example, come the end of this season, we've got 5 players out of contract, right?
Yeah.
Now one of them is Cooper, right?
Yes.
Now I don't know whether Cooper's going to be staying or not. I haven't got a clue, right? But what I'm saying is, he's in a position. If he's already decided that he wants to go, and he might be deciding or not to decide, depending on how this lot turns out, right?
Yeah.
Or he might have already made his decision for all we know, right? But if he goes, right, I know what the starting point's going to be with a lot of people. Well, the club didn't do enough.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
But you see, the problem is with that, it's not right, because when a player, as they have now, with the freedom of contract, right? If he decides that he wants to leave, right? Like Declan Rice, we're being told, he's out of contract at the end of this season, right? And he wants to play in the Champions League. That's what he's now. If that's true, it don't matter how much money West Ham offer him, they're not in the Champions League next season.
Yeah.
And he wants to play in the Champions League, right? But people say, "Oh, well, they've left because the club haven't done enough." Well,
no.
I'm afraid there are times when it don't matter. The guy at Hibernian, right? It was all done and dusted. Apparently, the deal was agreed between the clubs and whatever, and it had been agreed with the player, and then everything was hunky dory. And then all of a sudden, the next morning, it all goes wrong. The bloke changes his mind. Straight away, people turned around and said, well, there must be more money on the table. We'll go somewhere else. Never did. Never went anywhere, did he?
No.
Never went anywhere, right? Now,
you're also that you've got clubs that are on lower budgets. So
that's right. Absolutely. So this idea that it's all about money all the time is simply not the case.
No.
Right? Not all the time. But that becomes a convenient excuse. Sometimes that becomes a convenient excuse for failure.
Indeed. Right.
For failure.
Well, on that note, we will listen to our Debbie Juliens, but talking about our sponsors with GM Motors. But just before that, we'll listen to Paul Owens from Fisher FC.
Hi, I'm Paul, a Millwall and Fisher FC supporter. There's always been strong links between our clubs, and as such, Fisher FC would like to remind Millwall season ticket holders and supporters club members that entry to watch Fisher is just a £5 if you show your card at the gate.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by family business G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham in Kent. They are Millwall fans too. They've been Honda dealers for over 50 years. At G&M Motors Gravesend, you can purchase a new Honda. At both Gravesend and Meopham, they have a combined range of over 150 quality used cars and ex-demonstrators to suit all budgets and lifestyles. They also offer a comprehensive range of repair and maintenance services to ensure your vehicle stays reliable, safe, and retains a higher value with trust. G&M Motors, Gravesend and Meopham are dear friends of the Juliens family. From Lenny to Debbie, and also our Millwall Fan Show.
I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me, I have the No One Likes a team of Myles, Debbie and Stan. Many thanks to our sponsors, G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham. So, tonight's guest, or should I say tonight's guest's voice, is familiar to all Millwall fans who can't always get to Millwall games home and away. He works alongside Max in the commentary box and is well known for saying, "Well, can you believe it?" when Millwall score. What a pleasure it is for me to say welcome back to the show, Mr. Karl Bates. Hi, Karl.
Hello, one and all. How are we?
Hello, Karl.
I'm all right, Karl. And yourself?
Good. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. I'm fine.
Good. Karl, sorry, Debbie. So, Karl, I just mentioned that in the beginning, and to be honest, I only really noticed it in the last couple of goals when I've been listening to. That is something you actually say quite a lot, isn't it? Well, can you believe it?
It probably is. One thing I always notice is I quite often say absolutely, and also it's in the back of the net. They're the two that seem to be my trip hazards. The minute I say it, in my brain, I'm doing a Homer Simpson. Oh, I've done it again, sort of thing. Yeah,
Let's hope you're saying that tonight.
And so you don't mean to, but you just get caught up in the moment. You can't help it. So.
But before I hand you over to Debbie, Myles and Stan tonight, mate, how did it all come about? I know you've mentioned it before to us, but for those that don't know, how did it come about that you are Millwall's voice on a Saturday afternoon?
Long story, really. I started off, my mum unfortunately died of cancer when I was young. I was only 17. And she listened to a lot of hospital radio when she was terminally ill. And then one of my first jobs, I happened to work with somebody that did hospital radio. He asked if I wanted to go along, so I did. A bit of self-therapy, really. And it went really well. I enjoyed it. And he then didn't tell me, he just wrote off to a local radio show in Lincoln. We did a Saturday morning breakfast show there for a while. I then sent off my sort of CV to the BBC, just totally blind. This is me, I like football, X, Y, and Z. Here's a little demo. Got stupidly lucky. Got a phone call from Emma Joslin, who had a ridiculously long job title, saying that we're looking for somebody to come in and guest read out the full-time scores live on BBC this Saturday. Are you free? Funnily enough, the diary went straight out the window. Yes, I am. Went along. I presumed it was a wind-up. Thought one of my mates had found out. Turned up, it wasn't. Got to meet Gary Lineker, etc. And then Ray Stubbs passed it over to me at 6 o'clock. Read out the full-time scores live on BBC One. Didn't fluff it. Thankfully, then my CV's gone up quite significantly. There was an advert, Guardian newspaper, football commentators wanted. So threw my hat in the ring, so to speak, and got lucky. The first guy didn't turn up because he had to get a replacement bus and didn't want to do that, so I did. I went along. It was Barnet in League Two playing Mansfield. Went along as co-commentator. Funnily enough, it was an ex-Millwall player, Jason Punchin, who missed a late penalty in a 1-1 draw. And did Barnet for a year and a half voluntarily as a co-commentator. And then Barry, who was doing it, he moved along to do something different, and I moved in on the payroll. Covered Barnet for a few years. When they got relegated, did bits and bobs for the BBC, just helping out at the games here, there and everywhere. And then when Dino Standing stood down after his 607 years at the club, or was it 608? I can't remember. It looks like 607, bless him. I saw him at the last game. I think it took a lot out of him.
Oh,
but Dino's still in good form. And so Billy Taylor contacted the BBC. Do you know anybody? They suggested myself. I had a chat with Billy. It didn't take long at all. We sorted things out very quickly. And I think I've been at Millwall now over 5 years. So that's the very shortened version of 15, 20 years working in football commentary.
I'm very pleased we are that you're part of the Millwall team now anyway. Myles, over to you.
Hi, Karl. So,
Hello,
as the voice of Millwall on a Saturday afternoon, what's it been like following the Lions this year?
Tiring, in all honesty. It does seem almost like the Northern League. We do spend a lot of time travelling. I'm very lucky we have a really good sort of bunch. We're quite a close-knit little family, the media crew, myself, Matt, Billy, Mark Litchfield, Dan, Krasky now's joined the crew, Brian Tonks, the photographer. We're going up and down the country, but we all genuinely get on. We all have a real laugh, which really helps, especially with the down times when we've lost, for example, at Wigan or at Hull. It is tiring, but you have some great times. And as fans, we're all the same. All of the defeats and all of the woes will go out of the window if we go and beat Blackpool tomorrow night. So,
absolutely,
it's good. It's good fun. I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm very lucky, as I say, to work with a really nice team, and I love my football. So, where else would you want to be on a Saturday, or a Tuesday, or a Wednesday, or a flipping Friday with Sky getting involved?
Well, hopefully, I'll be on that list soon as well.
I know that feeling. Well, I didn't play football. Hi, Karl, it's Debbie here. I'm going to come straight the point. I don't like to say where did we go wrong. I'm going to say how do you think we could have improved on the last couple of games, and do you think we can turn it around tonight?
I hope so. I mean, I think the last couple of games, I think the main problem has been, in all honesty, squad depth. There's certain players that we just quite simply can't rest. We haven't been able to rest Jake Cooper because either Hutchinson or Cresswell or Murray Wallace has been injured. We haven't been able to rest George Saville in recent times because either Billy Mitchell or Leonard's been injured. We can't rest Zian Fleming. We can't rest Tom Bradshaw. And if you listen to any good football manager, they'll always talk about the spine of the team being so important to them. And the spine of Millwall's team just, I think, is running on empty at times. We're okay for the first 45, 50 minutes, so we say, and then the last 25, 30 minutes, we're hanging on a bit. And even when we get players back, we lose others. The minute we get Mason Bennett back, for example, George Honeyman gets injured. The minute we get Billy Mitchell back, Ryan Leonard gets injured. The minute we get Hutchinson back, Cresswell's injured. And then Murray Wallace is injured. And when you've got a small squad, I mean, we've seen it when we've played games that other teams are making 4 or 5 substitutions. Yes, personally, I think maybe Gary could make more earlier. I don't disagree with half of the substitutions, but I think maybe 10 minutes earlier. But what do I know at the end of the day? He's got Millwall very close to the playoffs. So, you know, if he gets us over the line in the next 2 games, what an incredible job he's done.
Hi, Karl. Who would you say this season has been your player of the year so far?
It's a tough one because you have to try and look at it over the whole season instead of the last few games. So you try and look around George Saville because he's been superb the last 4 or 5 games. He really has stood out like a sore thumb. But I'd say overall, for me, it's Tom Bradshaw. I think the effort he puts in every game goes unnoticed because half the time he's feeding off scraps, he's feeding off long diagonals, he's battling up against centre-halves. He wins a hell of a lot of headers. He wins a lot of balls. I mean, I remember Vogelsammer's goal at Watford. Bradshaw does superbly, backs into the centre-half, bullies him, gets the ball down, lovely layoff, great finish. And he's our top scorer. I think he's had a wonderful season. Thankfully, he's been injury-free. Touchwood, may that continue until the end of the season. So, yeah, for me, Bradders, over the whole season is the one for me.
Cool. Karl, you mentioned about travelling up and down the country and loving it, but what has been your favourite goal to commentate on this season and favourite match this season?
I would say favourite match would actually be, that sounds a bizarre one, but Watford away. Reason being, I've never seen Millwall play, so in all of my 5 years commentating on Millwall, I've never seen us play that well away from home. Watford didn't have a sniff the whole game. We were all over them right from the start, on the front foot. You know, we got the early goal from Vogelsammer. I know Zian got one later on, but, 2-0 flattered them. I thought we were superb the whole match. As for favourite goal, it would have to be the most unprofessional I've been when a goal's gone in, and that would be the own goal at Swansea in stoppage time, where me and Max thought Tyler Bury scored. Because we'd sat there, we're at the back of the main stand, the Swansea fans all around us, very happy with their night's work. They're all heading out the door with a big smug grin on their face, and rightly so. They're 2-0 up, going into stoppage time, all over Millwall. We've been not in the game at all. Suddenly there's an own goal. BBC had come to me just for an update. I was like, well, Millwall have got a consolation goal. It's a 2-1. They've got a bit of hang on a second. Scott Malone's going down the right. We've only got, and then just complete chaos kicked in as their player headed it in at the far post. So that was probably my favourite moment because you just become a 100% fan and forget remotely what you're doing for a job. Yeah. So no, that was a hell of a moment.
Debbie, I'm just going to jump in quickly on the back of that. So I don't actually know the answer to this question, Karl. Who do you support?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, being honest, as in now, I am a Millwall fan. I'm not going to, I can't deny that. I'd like to think it comes across in my commentary.
Yes.
When I first got into football, I'm a Cambridge United fan. That's where I'm from. I went and watched Cambridge up and down the country in the days of Dion Dublin. Gary Rowett. That was weird when I first met him, considering I used to stand in the Newmarket Road end cheering him on as a fullback. So that was very strange meeting him. And bizarrely, Cambridge and Millwall have got quite a good relationship with the likes of Stevie Claridge, Rowett now, various players like that have played for both clubs. So yeah, Cambridge. I still keep an eye on Cambridge's results, don't get me wrong. But yeah, Millwall is my team now, no question.
Fantastic. Lovely to hear. Debbie, hand back to you there.
Just a little, what do you think is going on in pre-match before tonight? What do you think Rowett is actually saying and all the team? What do you think his message will be to them?
I'd imagine it'll be, I think, what us fans have been telling ourselves, looking at the fixture list, looking at the teams around us and thinking, yes, Millwall's form's been poor. Yes, quite rightly, Millwall fans, you look on social media, you talk to Millwall fans generally, they're really unhappy. They know that if Millwall had put any vague run of form together, they'd have secured a playoff spot already. But I would imagine every single other club around us is having those same conversations. So many teams are just falling over themselves. West Brom were in a great position. They started losing games. Preston at one stage were doing very well. They started losing games. Blackburn were almost clear. They looked like they were going to be third, pushing for the top two. They've now fallen away. Norwich, after they beat us 3-2, were practically doing a lap of honour around the pitch. They've now fell away as well. So, yes, the form's been poor, but I honestly believe if Millwall could win their last two games, I think they'll get a playoff spot, because I think Coventry will drop points at Middlesbrough last game of the season.
Oh, sorry, Cole. Right, as somebody who's had epilepsy, you like to raise people's awareness of epilepsy. How do you cope day to day coping with this condition?
It did get me down when I first got it. I mean, that was over 20 years ago, and I was having seizures more regularly. Now I'm very lucky, living in the modern world, that the medication's superb. I now haven't had a seizure for probably around 7 or 8 years, so I'm truly blessed in that sense. But what I do, as you mentioned about raising awareness, myself, Leon Legg, a professional footballer, Matty Crooks at Middlesbrough, Jay Bothroyd, there's a couple of other people that work within the media or football industry. We've formed a WhatsApp group. We're almost like the A team, but we're more like the E team for epilepsy, in the fact that if something's wrong and not right, people reach out to us within football and we go and basically sort them out. As you may have seen issues with Reading Football Club when they were advertising on their shirts before a Millwall game and advertising on websites, etc., about how they were having an all-inclusive day, bringing all the kids together, regardless of what their disabilities were. But they said at the bottom of it, by the way, we can't include kids with epilepsy. So we all pretty much almost went over there via phone calls and emails, trying to find out why. And it was just a lack of education. So we basically got the charities involved, got other people involved, because there was a 10-year-old kid who wanted to go with his friends to a party and play a sports day there, and they weren't allowing him to. But they contacted us, we sort of kicked in, and when you've got professional footballers arguing the case that why can't a 10-year-old play football, you've got very thin ice to stand on. And they quite rightly looked into it and apologised, and the kid went along and had a great time. So I do it more that way, by raising awareness, than being personally affected myself. I'm very lucky that way.
Well done, you. Well done.
Brilliant. I can't go, and this was Debbie's original question, but I'm actually really glad she asked her question, because I hadn't thought of that question, so well done, Debbie. But I just want to ask, we all know about the infamous chair incident at Norwich, but have you had any other funny incidents following the Lions up and down the country? I know Max is a bit of a character.
Yes, he is.
What else has happened on your travels that maybe not everyone knows about, and you just thought, you know what, I'll bring that one up tonight?
Oh, maybe we can't say. Should I tell you guys or not? It's a tempter. It's nothing major at all. Tonksy, our photographer, who you may well know or may not know, basically, because we've got our own WhatsApp group, we're up and down the country, we're messing about to try and relieve the boredom sometimes. Tonksy just happened to pull a funny face. Somebody took a picture of it, and it was on our WhatsApp group and classed as rather amusing. Max, the character that he is, used that photo and sent it now, and every time we go for our media accreditation, on our lanyards is Tonksy's face looking really stupid. So Tonksy has to walk around grounds with a stupid funny face of him on his official lanyard. So that's our very mature humour when we're on our travels. So yeah, so if ever you see Tonksy down the football ground, look at his lanyard. He looks rather silly.
Superb. Karl, there's never enough time, and I can listen to you for hours on a Saturday afternoon. I love you, everything you do for us. But before I go, we've got to ask you the traditional question. Friday night, 8 o'clock. How are we getting on?
I think it's going to be 1-0 either way. I don't think it's going to be a classic. And if we win, it's going to be a set piece. And Sean Hutchinson, who hasn't scored this season, captain's orders, is going to get it. There's my prediction for the day.
Okey-dokey.
I'll go to scrape a 1-0 Hutch to get it.
But wouldn't it be nice for the team that played Watford this season to turn up and do a bit more damage?
Yeah, wouldn't it just? Wouldn't it?
It did. Brilliant. Thanks, Karl, for coming on the show. It's been absolutely brilliant, as always, to talk to you once again. And there's still so much to explore. All the best to you and your family. And we'll get you back on beginning of next season to talk about either Premiership football or the Championship again.
Look forward to it.
Take care, Karl. Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you, Karl.
Thank you very much, Karl.
We will now listen to Pat talking about the programme for the Blackburn game.
Hi, I'm here to tell you about your Blackburn Matchday programme. The special edition double-sized programme will be £2 and will not only feature the usual match reports, supporters message board and up-to-the-date news and opposition reviews, it will include a special 12-page Goodbye to the Old Den feature with photos and memories from ex-players and supporters. It's 30 years to the day since we said goodbye to Coldblow Lane. Relive those mostly glorious times with us in your programme. Should you not be able to make the game, you can buy online from SM Programme at protonmail.com. That's SMPROGRAMME at protonmail.com. Thank you.
I'm your host, Gary, and with me I have the No One Likes His team of Myles, Debbie and Stan. Let's hear from the lovely Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowick and the Lions. Come on, Millwall!
The Lionesses, young and old, played this weekend, and our Jeff filed a report.
This is Jeff Burnage reporting on Millwall Lionesses, and this week it is the under-18 squad who are in the spotlight because they landed the first senior cup win of the Lionesses' recent history, and certainly since they were in the FA Women's Championship before their administrative relegation by the Football Association. They entered this cup with their under-18 squad, but it is a senior competition, and that decision was validated by them reaching the final and going one step further than that yesterday by winning the trophy. They were in fact never behind. They scored after 2 minutes through Ellie Hinckley, and then again through a brilliant right-wing shot by Chloe Bryan after about 11 minutes. And this did look like a very, very promising start. Millwall hadn't won anything in a senior cup for some time, so the excitement level was great. A crowd of over 800 people were there, largely I think because of the fact that Brentford were playing on their home ground, even though this was a neutral match as a cup final. Towards the end, Brentford did pull one back again to make it 3-2, and this led to a very exciting 7 minutes of stoppage time. But in the end, it was the Millwall supporters and players who were overjoyed at their victory. Earlier in the day, the first team had played Sutton United away from home, and they had another disappointing result, going down 3-0 to 3 late goals after having had one or two very, very scoreable chances earlier in the game. Chloe Burr, Grace Seeley both came close before half-time, and then Chloe hit the bar on the 60th minute, only for Shana Giordani to come in and head the rebound narrowly over the bar. So a disappointing day for Jack Wheeler and his first team, but overall the club are delighted to have landed silverware, and this is a great indication of the fact that they are definitely on their way back. They will be playing in another cup final, the under-18s, next Sunday That is the London Under-18 Cup. So this is not a senior cup, it's an age group Under-18 Cup. And that game takes place at Carshalton on Sunday, and the kick-off will be 7 p.m.
Thanks, Jeff. Pride and the Romans also played this weekend, and Paul Odin got in touch.
Hi all, it's Paul Odin from the Millwall Romans with a little update from last weekend. Just to update you guys, we had a couple of marathon runners on Sunday as well. Andy Dolan and our Jamie Carragher ran in really good times, about sort of 4.5 hours they both did it in, which is really, really good. Really pleased with them and raised a lot of money. So congratulations to both. So Romans played at home this weekend, late kick-off at 4 o'clock due to the marathon running past. I wouldn't say it was our strongest game. We sort of started playing around relatively well, but it didn't seem to click somehow, and we were trying to play a little bit too direct. I think getting a little bit frustrated with Titans defending up against Titans heroes on Sunday. So we had bits of it where we were playing it around the back and playing it quite nice, and then we'd get a little bit frustrated and play a bit more of a direct ball, which it didn't seem to work. And we I mean, don't get me wrong, we had a good result in the end, 7-3. But I think the 3 goals that we conceded, it's not a good result for us. Our goals against is very strong in the league, and I think we've sort of walked away a little bit disappointed with conceding 3. However, it's 3 points, and we're closer to taking that title. We've still got Stokey to play, who are a very, very strong team. We've still got Phoenix to play, and also we have got the dreaded Charlton, who are hot on our tails, currently second in the league. The only loss they've had is against us in the LUL, so that's going to be a nice little challenge. But on to this weekend, it's the big semi-final GFSN weekend against Yorkshire Terriers in the GFSN semi-final. Leicester and Dublin played last weekend. Dublin, a very strong side, beat Leicester, so they are waiting for the finalists. So we're gonna give it our all on Sunday. Pride at home against Soho Freedom, so we will be there all afternoon, and we'll be staying there. The Romans will be staying there after the game to watch the Pride, hopefully get their first win of the season. Romans playing at 1:30 on Sunday. And prediction for tonight's game, Blackpool Millwall. Getting the feeling now, obviously watching Millwall quite closely, that it's really, really frustrating. We have some good results and then some not so good results, and they're so close to getting there. And obviously we're cheering them on from our side. We'd love to see them go up to the Premier. I'm just going to say, Lo, it's away. I'm going to say it's a 1-0 win for Millwall.
Thanks, Paul. That seems to be quite a popular scoreline at the moment. So it's down to the crunch games at the business end of the season. Blackpool in the bottom 3, but have won 2 out of their last 3 and have still survived. They win against us, win the last game in the season, and the results go their way in the final fixtures. Will the Lions finally get back to winning ways and finally return to the form that saw the Lions rise up the Championship? It's a now must-win game for the Lions. Myles, I'll come to you first. You've heard from Karl earlier, who speaks a lot of sense. Do you think there's enough in the Lions still to get us over the line?
Well, yeah. Oh, you've got to stay positive. Of course you have, and I do. I'm going to stay positive, and I'm going to go with Karl. I'm going to go with Paul, and I'm going to say 1-0 Millwall. I think Tom Bradshaw will get the goal.
Okay. Debbie, over to you.
Always optimistic, and I think they're going to pull it out of the bag, and I'm going to go 2-1. It's my favourite one. It was my dad's lucky score, so always 2-1, and we're going to pull it out.
And Stan.
Well, let me say this: if they can't get up tomorrow night, I don't care who the players are on the field, right, or on the bench. Right, I'm not interested in excuses for injuries or nothing like that. If they can't get up for that game tomorrow, right, and if they can't win that game tomorrow, then we would have failed, and the reason we would have failed is because we've not been good enough over X amount of games, right? That's all they have to. They have to go and win that game tomorrow. Personally, I'm not convinced they're going to do it, but I hope they do. Right, but if they can't, because we're not going to keep getting these chances again, because it's going to run out. If they're serious about promotion, they must win that game tomorrow, and then they must beat Blackburn the next game. It's as simple as that. And if they can't get their act together for that, well, heaven help us. He says, I mean, I think we've got to stop kidding ourselves here, and we've got to start, saying what's right and what ain't right. Right? We've all through this, we gave a bad result, and all of a sudden it don't work out so bad because other teams have fallen down round us. You think, oh right, well we're still in with it. At some point, that's going to run out, and you ain't going to have that luxury. And all I'm hoping is that it don't run out tomorrow night. But if we can't win tomorrow, then it's over. It's over.
Give us a scoreline though, Stan, before you.
Well, if we win, I'd settle for a 1-0 win. And who scores the goal, I couldn't care less.
Go off back of someone's backside.
If we win.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right, I personally think we are going to win tomorrow night. I am going to stay positive. Like Karl was saying earlier, we have got it in us to go and do what they did to teams like Watford. And I think if we can get an early goal, that'll calm the nerves. And I think we'll be comfortable tomorrow night, 2 or 3-0. And I will hold us to that. We just got to basically go and do what other teams aren't doing. Well, we're not the only ones that are trying not to do this. We just basically got to buck that trend and push on.
Can I just say this, right? And I listened to what Karl said about set pieces, and that bothers me. That bothers me because I remember a couple of weeks ago listening to the Luton manager after the game, right? And he turned around and said, now think about what he's saying here. He said when they was playing us at the Den, what they had to make sure that they did was for the last 10 minutes of the game, make sure that they got the grips with us at set pieces, right? Now, what he was saying was, if Millwall were going to score, they was going to score from set pieces. That's what he was saying, right? He sussed that out.
Yeah, well, but
Right,
I'll say
now,
one thing though, Stan. Just at that point, just to come in at that juncture, the 2 goals that were scored. Obviously, the penalty was different, which was never a penalty. But I don't care. It worked in our favour. But I'll say one thing is they're saying about the long ball, they're saying about free kicks, and they're saying about this and that. The 2 goals that were scored by those 2 teams, one was from a long ball and one was from a free kick. So
but what I'm saying is, right, is that if they and the Sheffield United manager said it at the beginning of the season, the reason we're failing, in my opinion, is because we're one-dimensional. Or as Ted said the other day, we're predictable. And it's predictable around the fact that, we look to score goals from set pieces. The problem is with that, when it don't operate, when it don't work, we're struggling.
No, I can't
Good
disagree.
teams have other ways of scoring goals, not just on set pieces. Now, all I'm saying is that Luton manager sussed that out. We didn't offer a threat on the ground. It was only at set pieces. That's what he was saying. And we may not like it, but it happens to be true. It happens to be true.
Indeed.
And that's part of the problem.
Oh, agreed. On that note, we'll take a break there and listen to our Bethany talking about the Millwall Community Trust.
The work of the Millwall Community Trust makes a big difference for people in Lewisham, Southwark and North Kent. Times are getting tougher, and to help them make a difference, you can help too, by making a donation. Give a one-off donation or a monthly amount. Your support is crucial in raising vital funds for their work, or by fundraising for them. If you are running, swimming, cycling, cooking, dancing, parachuting or anything else, why not do it for the Millwall Community Trust? Interested? Then either email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. I'll say that again. Email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. Thanks if you can.
I'm your host, Gary, and I'm with you. And with me, I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Myles, Debbie and Stan. If you can do any of those things that Bethany mentioned, it will go a long way to support the Millwall Community Trust in supporting the needs of the community. Our next guest is our fan in the dugout. She's a friend of our panelist tonight, Debbie. Welcome to the show, Dawn Turley.
Hi.
Hi, Dawn.
Hello, Dawn.
Hiya.
There you go. There's a familiar voice to make you feel okay. You do sound excited, Dawn. I know you're a bit apprehensive, a bit shy, but don't worry. Just enjoy us, and we don't bite. Dawn, before I let you off to Debbie and the rest of the gang, how did it come to pass that you are a Millwall fan?
It's through my dad, really. He had family that used to live up near Millwall, and so he used to go up there visiting family, and that was back in 1983 that he started. And because Millwall used to play on a Sunday, he used to go up at the weekend, see family, then go and watch them. And then it just kind of stuck, and he got my mum into it, and then me and my brother come along, and we were involved, and now my kids are involved, and now once it's in the blood, you don't really look back.
Yep, I know that too well. I've got a little 6-year-old who, if I even say you're not coming, he will, jokingly of course, he will run around and start crying. He loves it so much, and he's completely addicted already. So I know exactly where that comes from.
Yeah,
Myles,
definitely.
Brilliant. Myles, I'll pass you first to ask your question to the Dawn.
Hi Dawn, Myles here. What's your normal routine for Saturday afternoon game at the Den?
So we travel up from Brighton. We actually live in Brighton, so we either drive or get the train. So once we're close to the Den, we head to the Millwall Cafe, and my son, he goes off. He's made quite a nice group of friends there, so he goes off and normally playing football outside, like the club shop and stuff, until the ground opens, and we end up talking to people, seeing people in the cafe, chatting before heading into the ground, and seeing the people, the friends that you've made there, the Millwall family. And on the way back, we're either happy with the score, or cheerful, or it's complete silence if we're shocked at what we've seen.
Hi Dawn, it's lovely to have you on the show. It's great.
Thanks for having me.
I live in Brighton too, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
So, the season seems to have gone a bit stale over the last couple of weeks. Do you think the Lions will do enough to get over the line and get into those playoffs?
Well, I mean, it hasn't been great the last little while. I think it's just always that hope that gets you, that hope that you always have, that you want to believe that we can still do it. It's such a shame how we've played these last few games. Now these 2 games have become so important that we have no choice but to get results out of these last 2 games. I hope that we can do it. I want to believe we can. We have that ability to play really well. Like when we travelled to Watford, that's the best I think I've seen us play this season. So you hope.
Funny enough, Dawn, when you listen to the show back, Cole mentioned that exact game about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a vast difference. We've got that ability to be able to play that way and to win like that. It's just whether or not we can step up and perform like that. I think if we can get an early goal, I think that will give the players that confidence to be able to go out and to try and win it. I think they need us as fans to be on their side. I think they get a lot of confidence from us being on their side. So I want to believe that we can still do it, and that we don't have to rely on the other teams around us for us to be up there with a chance still.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more there, Dawn. And as they always say, the crowd is the extra team member.
Yes,
it really works, doesn't it?
It does. I think that's the important thing is that it's very it's hard to feel positive. Like at Wigan, it was hard the way that they were playing, but we've almost need to be behind them and try and give them that extra bit of confidence.
Yeah, that's so true. So true.
Hello, Dawn. Following the
Hiya.
Lions can be indifferent, as we all know. But what match would you say was your greatest memory following Millwall?
There's been quite a few, but I think when I talk about to people about games that stick in my mind the most, I think it has to be the cup game against Everton. I think the whole atmosphere of it was the pouring with rain, the den was packed out, and the goal that at the end it was just magical. Really, it's them moments that you go for, and you go through the bad times, but those moments are the ones that the special times.
Couldn't disagree. I was with my niece that day. My dad wasn't with me, and we were literally flabbergasted when Mr. Wallace popped up in the last minute to pop that home. No one expected him to be there, and the infamous Neil Harris shouting at the commentators behind, turning off the screen.
Turn off the screen.
Lucky he didn't have VAR.
Well,
that's it.
Well, indeed.
But Dawn, you go to almost every game, don't you?
We do, yeah. Well, my son, he hasn't missed a game yet this season, so he's he is trying to get all of them in, which hopefully, touch wood, it should happen. Yeah, but I've only missed a couple this season. We try and go everywhere.
Are you there tomorrow?
We are indeed. Yep. Leaving tomorrow morning.
Excellent. Well, bring us back 3 points, Dawn, please.
And you go along to the Lionesses as well. You watch those, don't you? That's where we've seen each other.
We've I've taken my daughter to see a couple of the Lionesses games because she's massively into football now. She's playing football. She plays for the Brighton Academy as well. So she absolutely loves going to watch them too. So it's really nice to be able to do that with her as well.
I watched them a couple of weeks ago when they played Bromley in their first match, and I was surprised at the talent. They are really, really good standard of football at that level, and I can only see them growing into being a solid team in the next couple of years, and hopefully getting back to where they belong.
Definitely.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Dawn. I hope that wasn't too painful.
No, it was great. Thank you for having me.
That's okay. And it's great to hear you, and wish all the best for tomorrow night. Please, as I say, bring us back 3 points. And good luck for the last couple of games of the season, and we'll get you back on in the not too distant future.
Yeah, that would be great.
Very, very soon, Dawn. Very soon.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, and we'll take a break there and listen to our Debbie again. Talking about the Lions Food Hub.
Let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need your support. If you can help, and you can make a one-off or a regular monetary donation at Banquet, that is BANKUET, you will find them online. Insert www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub into your browser. I'll say that again, www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub. And the Lions Food Hub is all one word. On match days, you can make food and toiletry donations at the Lions Food Hub, which is opposite the 1885 bar at the Cold Blow Lane end of the ground. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via the Lions Food Hub Twitter or Facebook sites.
I'm your host, Gary, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Myles, Debbie and Stan. Myles is now going to talk about the Lionesses trials coming up.
The Millwall Lionesses Academy is thriving this year, with the under-18s team reaching 2 cup finals already, winning one of them against Brentford Women's B team. They took on Hackney Wick Girls. They take on Hackney Wick Girls under 18s this Sunday. So very good luck to them, and hopefully bring home another trophy. So then, the under-12s team is having trials on Saturday the 20th of May from 12 till 2. The under-14s team is holding trials on Saturday the 27th of May from 12 till 2. The under-16s are having trials on Saturday the 27th of May as well from 10 till 12. And finally, the cup-winning under-18s team are holding trials on the 20th of May between 10 and 12 p.m. So if you're interested in joining the Lioness Academy, then email Lee Mitchell Williams@gmail.com. I'll say that again, Lee Mitchell Williams@gmail.com for more information. The deadline for applications is Sunday, May the 7th.
Cheers, Myles. Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team bring reports from our games both home and away for both the Lions and the Lionesses, and also updates on Millwall Community Matters too on Maritime Radio. They broadcast on 96.5 FM or on their website. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Tumblr, Twitter, and other social media sites, and all popular podcast sites too. Thanks again, and good night, Myles.
Thanks, Gary. Good night, Ron.
And good night, Debbie.
Good night all.
And good night, Stan.
Yeah, good night and good night all.
Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night, and many thanks for listening to the No One Likes Us Talking podcast team. Come on, you Lions. 3 points tomorrow.